Tonight, a leading ammunition supplier warns of a revolution if courts do not side with gun owners over the government buyback scheme. Details of the scheme were announced this morning in response to the deaths of 51 people in the March mosque attacks. Paul Clark, the managing director of New Zealand Ammunition, says many gun owners feel ripped off.
Some will say, yes, they'll comply. Some are also incredibly incensed that they have become scapegoats for the judicial system and have been punished for a crime they didn't commit, and they didn't. Some will just throw them away, literally. Some might even give them to the wrong type of people just to spite the government. I've heard that said. I'm not saying anybody will do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if one or two people gave their mini 14s or something to the local mongrel mob just to piss the government off, to put it quite bluntly.
That's Paul Clark of New Zealand Ammunition speaking to me a short time ago, and we'll hear more from him in a moment. But first, the details of the buyback scheme. In an attempt to let some licensed owners keep their weapons and save the Crown some money, the government will pay up to $300 to cover the cost of modifying prohibited weapons to make them lawful. The government still doesn't know exactly how many prohibited weapons are out there, but with the help of police and KPMG, it has devised a compensation plan with 3 payment tiers and an option to get a separate valuation. Our political reporter Joe Moyer has the story.
The compensation announced by the government today fits into 3 categories, all of them based on a wholesale price for a new weapon without any retail margin. It will pay 95% of that base price for weapons in new or near new condition, 70% for those in used condition, and 25% for those in poor condition. But Nicole McKee from the Council of Licensed Firearms Owners says the feedback from members is that some of the higher-end firearms have been grossly miscalculated and will leave owners shortchanged.
They need to look at the bigger picture here and see that what they've done is actually trying to not rip off the community, but the community are feeling very disadvantaged, and a lot of them are telling us they are being ripped off.
A new option announced by the Police Minister Stuart Nash today means the Crown will cover costs of modifying an unlawful firearm to make it legal.
So if someone in possession of one of these weapons still wants to own it and wants to ensure that they obey the law, then they can just go and get it modified. And it's also cheaper for us, to be honest. If we're paying a maximum of $300 to a gunsmith to modify this, it's a little cheaper than paying $2,000 to buy that gun back.
The buyback starts today and runs for 6 months, but compensation will only be paid to gun owners with a valid firearms licence. In order to collect these weapons, the police will coordinate a series of public collections, starting with Addington Racecourse in Christchurch on July the 13th, where a police team will process newly prohibited firearms and gun parts and take them away for shredding. The Deputy Police Commissioner Mike Clement says going back to Christchurch is symbolic.
I think it's an important gesture to make. We've given a lot of thought about where to start, frankly, and there's pros and cons with regard to all of the options that emerged, but we've been intent since the 15th of March, as all New Zealanders have, is making sure we continue to show support for Christchurch, and we think this is another indication of that.
Mr Clement says safety will be paramount at the collections, and he's well aware guns being stolen from the Palmerston North Police Station, 3 of which are still outstanding, won't have helped.
We're very aware of the fact that we create a potential risk by having these events, and we've given a lot of thought about how to mitigate the risk right across all of the options. So we do have security right in the nucleus of the teams, as I referred to earlier, but without going into detail, you can rest assured that there will be security in the form of armed police officers there who are there to make sure that anyone with that mindset, we know they exist, right? But anyone with that mindset is dissuaded.
The National Party police spokesman Chris Bishop says the plea that police stations be used as a last resort for dropping off firearms speaks volumes.
And I think that is a reflection of the debacle that happened at Palmerston North Police Station. Although, having said that, I think there are questions around whether mass collection events is going to be the right way to do it either, but we need to dig into the detail of that a bit further.
Mr Bishop says there will be hundreds, possibly thousands of people who will be left out of pocket as a result of the way the compensation has been drawn up. There's also been criticism over whether only compensating gun licence holders will actually achieve anything. RNZ asked Mr Nash whether this would just lead to responsible gun owners handing back their weapons and irresponsible ones holding on to them.
Well, what I would say is the irresponsible people you talk about who held these illegally were breaking the law anyway, and we now have a penalty of up to 5 years in jail if you hold one of these weapons after the amnesty is over, and I expect police to go incredibly hard on them.
There was $150 million set aside in the budget for the buyback, which has been further boosted by an additional $40 million from ACC. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Joe Moyer.